Well, it's the Fast 5 Minutes presented by Parts Galore, and as we get kicked off here inside the cave, we've got our friends at Hungry Howie's delivering us a nice little lunch here.
So good.
So good.
No, it's good stuff.
This is 2 for 2 for you.
I
You've been
know.
here twice in the past couple times.
Now I know what I'm missing out on.
I feel like
too.
Miguel Cabrera on a fastball. It's
Got
great.
the fine china out here, too.
I know, they've got the thin crust pizzas, they've got Asian chicken, barbecue chicken, buffalo chicken. Matt and I are very much into the buffalo right now.
really
What have you
good.
dug into?
Really good.
Little Asian chicken here.
We'll get to the barbecue, tell you how that goes. But within the Fast 5 Minutes, we kick off our topics here presented by Parts Galore. And so much to talk about within the sporting world. The Red Wings, we've discussed Mike Babcock's contract situation. Other teams may be being interested, at least on a reported basis. But Jeff Blashill, the guy coaching the Grand Rapids Griffins, gets a 3-year deal this week. Is it a deal for security for his future to keep him in this organization, knowing what Mike Babcock might do, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I had him on my show earlier this week, and he talked about how he just loves working for the Red Wings organization. He said all the right things, but this is really smart. He's a young guy. He's 40. He's highly thought of. The young players really respect him. He's a lot like Mike Babcock, and he's learned a lot of the Red Wing way under Mike Babcock, and he's been successful at every stop he's had. So I think it's a really smart move on the part of Ken Howland and the Red Wings. I'm not worried that Mike Babcock's going to go anywhere, but Jeff Blashill is there just in case he does. It's a good move.
I don't think there's any question it's a good move for Jeff Blashill and for the Red Wings. They had a great system going this year with the Grand Rapids pipeline, and he was a big part of that. I think they wanted to keep that going. But I also think, and we're seeing it again, the Penguins just fired Dan Bilesma.
Yeah.
We're going to hear a lot about Mike Babcock being coveted by other teams over the next year, and whether we'd like to coach Sidney Crosby, et cetera. We're going to hear that for the next however many months, and Jeff Blashill being there, I think, allows the Red Wings some comfort of their own.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. This is a big year. It's a big offseason.
Yeah.
What falls in place with Ken Howland, Mike Babcock, remains to be seen.
Yeah. And a right-handed shot from the point.
Without a doubt. So much is made of the World Cup from an outside view. A lot of it's made from soccer fans here. I want to touch on that in a little bit. Mike's yelling at me. No, we have to talk Eric Ebron first.
Okay.
He keeps me in line. He hasn't signed his rookie deal yet. Good or bad?
It's not a big deal, frankly. But it is a function, though, of the salary cap being capped out. And a big part of that is Ndamukong Suh's cap number.
To me, that's still a big deal.
And so that is a big deal in that sense. But I don't think it's a surprise, let's put it that way, because I don't think anybody thought, based on the way the spring started, that Ndamukong Suh's deal was going to get done real quick. It's still May this summer. That's still the hope that it gets done this offseason. But until it does, you're going to see some guys sort of hanging on and waiting. The way the rookie salaries are slotted, it's not a big deal that Eric Ebron is not
It's not a big deal because he already has the playbook. He already has been to OTAs. He already has a good familiarity with his coaches, his position coach, Matt Stafford, and everything else like that. It becomes a little bit more of a concern, though, as we get closer to training camp. I don't think there's going to be a holdout, but if there is, I think it's a serious concern for the Lions. He's a major weapon in this offense, and they're designing plays specifically for him. The sooner he gets it done, obviously, the better it is for everybody.
We spent the whole topic sitting here talking about one rookie that the Lions pick. We spent weeks talking about who they were going to pick. MLB draft comes and goes. The Tigers draft 30 players.
Did it go yet?
Yeah.
Right? How do you improve what's become a mere function of just a minor blip on our radar that is the MLB draft? Because it doesn't have to be such a small dosage of sports knowledge. We could know more about it.
But it's never been that big, and I think that with MLB Network, it's gotten even better. Now, more sports. NHL is doing it, of course, but they're starting to take a look at what the NFL draft has done and how well it's been received and how people are watching it. MLB Network carries it. There's a lot of writings about it. The difference is that we don't follow college baseball or high school baseball as close as we do, the other sports. So I don't know if it's ever going to be in the mainstream consciousness of people outside of people like us until, when we start following more college baseball, and I don't think that's ever going to happen.
What about a rule change with the age of bringing in players from other countries? Could that change things?
No, you know what? I would. There definitely need to be some rule changes if they want to make it a little more sort of, I don't know what the word is.
Interesting.
Interesting, maybe. It's 50 rounds? It's still going on, perhaps, as we speak. Cut it down, and maybe have 2 drafts. 1 draft for college players, 1 for high school players, and then limit the high school draft to perhaps, 2-3 rounds, because there's some 400-some high school kids will get drafted, and probably 10 of them will make the major leagues ever. There's no need for that.
There isn't. There's no need for
They
it.
just drafted Maglio Ordonez's kid
Yeah.
in the 38th round.
He'll never sniff.
That's just
They
because
just
he's
do that.
Maglio. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Right.
And we see that every year. Whoa,
The reason
look
I'm
at-
holding
yeah,
this.
there we go.
The reason I have this, it's all for John this week. As much as you want to think it's for you, Matt. Last week on the 7
I
Sports
never think
Cave,
it's for me.
he correctly predicted the LA Kings would go to the NHL Stanley Cup final.
Justin Williams would have a big game.
Haven't
I think
lost.
I believe I said.
You did say that. He scored. They
I
haven't
picked
lost
the Grand-
Out on a limb, though.
I
The guy's
picked
got
the
more
gr-
Game 7 points than anybody in history.
I
You're
picked
going
the
out on a
Grand
limb.
Prix
But
winner
he said
too.
it. You
I
picked the Grand Prix winner. You can
too.
hold
There
my
we go.
dad's
There we
bowling
go. There we
trophy.
go.
A league
There
that
we
you
go.
participate in. I haven't seen your name on there, by the way.
No, he'll get it.
By
in
the way,
Grand. We'll get it in Grand.
I have the Grand Prix winner in my studio twice a year.
Great, you didn't pick them.
Yeah.
My question for you, John, can the LA Kings be stopped?
Well, as long as they do not lead ever, they will win the Stanley Cup Final in 4 games. They haven't led yet. They're up 2-0.
Two
They have
games
not
they-
led for a single.
2 games they started in
Yeah,
a 2-0
they've won 2 games, and
Three games in a
3
row.
games.
Game
Game
seven,
Game
yeah.
7 is the exact
Yeah,
same thing
right.
too. And that's a Daryl Sutter team. That's a team. That team. You watch those guys. They've got scoring through everybody, but they got these guys who are just all guts kind of guys, and that's why I picked them to win that Game 7 on the road. That's why I would pick them to win the Stanley Cup over the Rangers. And now, obviously,
Well, it
I
helps
think
to have the best
they're-
defenseman, right? Drew Doughty's the
And
best
they've got-
defenseman in the league.
And
He
even
really
Jonathan Quick is a goalie who's that kind of goalie. He's going to make the big save. He may not be on his game, but he's going to make that big save. I just think it's going to be too tough. Careful. It's going to be too tough for the Rangers to come back from that
Well,
kind
you
of
got-
devastating loss. All those 2-goal leads.
You got to
blow
wonder
that.
what it does to their psyche.
Yeah.
They blew 3 2-goal leads last night. They've blown 2 games where they were up 2-0 early on foreign ice. This LA team, their balance, their strength, they're so good at every position. I just love them. I really admire their mental toughness.
I think I have pizza in my teeth.
That's all right.
So don't get too
And on
tight.
your shirt.
No, not on my shirt. I would make sure of that. On my pants, maybe. That's the old napkin trick. I agree. The Kings look fantastic. And if anything, Lundqvist looked very
Yeah.
flustered after
Well,
that third goal last
they
night.
got burned on a bad goal last
They
night.
did.
Yeah.
All right, that's
By the
gonna
way,
be
he was drafted in the 7th round.
Yeah.
205 players taken ahead of him.
stat dropping. That's a good call. When you look at the World Cup, that'll be the least of the worrisome concerns because these fan bases go nuts with every single breath their players take. In the American landscape of sports, where does the World Cup fit?
I love Anze Kopitar, Jeff Carter, Justin Williams. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea. I could care less, couldn't care less, whatever you want to say about soccer. It's just not on my radar. It is getting shoved down our throat by ESPN. For those who love the sport, I respect you. I'm all for it. Good, go ahead. It's just not on my radar. It's not something I will ever be interested in. And yes, my kids, when they were young, played it too, but it's just not something that I take a great deal of pleasure in watching, and I think it's boring.
You watching? I'm going to watch. I've watched it every 4 years.
I'm a huge soccer fan, so I'm the direct opposite of this. I grew up playing soccer. I played all my whole life. It is the world's game. It doesn't matter if it's shoved down your throat or not. There are more and more people in the United States that do follow soccer now, diehard fans. And I think we'll see that you'll see it around 10. You'll see bars packed for games, etc. What would really help, though, obviously, is if the United States could ever find a star, find a team that sort of captures people's imagination.
Landon Donovan wasn't a star?
No.
Lexi Lawless wasn't a star?
No, they weren't really. But Landon Donovan
In the world landscape?
In the
No.
world landscape is what I'm talking about. A guy who suddenly takes them to another level, and we haven't seen that yet.
Even their coach came out and said this week,
Yeah, we're not
going to
gonna-
win.
yeah.
We're not going to do anything.
Well, that does wonders for the sport.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
That really makes me want to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah.
I'll be
Exactly.
tuning in to watch, but it's
Yeah.
like the Olympics for me, and I'll be
It's a
watching.
novelty, for
It is
sure,
a novelty
for most
sure.
people.
Well, after the break, Nate Burleson, a man who loves him some pizza as well, will join
Oh,
me.
boy. Here we go.
One-on-one inside the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. We actually did it outside, but you get the idea. And we're back right after this.
The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave is brought to you in part by Hungry Howie's.